Saudara Datuk Seri Amir Hamzah, Menteri Kewangan 2, Menteri Pendidikan Tinggi, Saudara Zamri, Saudara Johan Marekan, KSP dan tetamu-tamu yang saya muliakan, khususnya Gubernur Bank Negara, Saudara Abdul Rashid Ghafur, para menteri yang hadir dari negara-negara rakan, saudara-saudara yang saya muliakan. Alhamdulillah kita panjatkan tinggi-tinggi kesyukuran kepada Allah SWT kerana rencana kita untuk mengadakan sidang, mengumpulkan tenaga pemikir dan pelaksana serta pengusaha untuk menjayakan gerakan dan kegiatan ekonomi Islam itu berhasil. Dalam Belanjawan Madani tahun lalu saya umumkan hasrat Malaysia menjadi pengkalan utama mengangkat keupayaan kita sebagai landasan untuk mengembangkan kegiatan ekonomi dan keuangan Islam. Berikutnya, Universiti Islam Antarabangsa dan GFIEF mengumpulkan sarjana dalam dan luar negara untuk mengemukakan usul, pandangan-pandangan, kritikan dan teguran dan cadangan-cadangan konkret yang kemudian diambil oleh Kementerian Kewangan, Bank Negara, Suruhanjaya Securities dan syarikat-syarikat utama kerajaan merenung dan memikir kaedah yang lebih berkesan untuk mengangkat keupayaan memperkenalkan instrumen prakasa baru bagi mengupayakan dan menjayakan ekonomi Islam yang punya potensi yang sangat besar. Ekonomi Islam itu tidak harus terbatas dengan kaedah sistem bank halal yang bertambah sekarang ataupun industri halal. Tetapi seperti mana yang ditegur sekarang, ia harus melihat kepada maqasid syariah itu sendiri. Bahawa kekuatan ekonomi Islam harus mencakup bidang yang luas, tidak dari segi kaedah yang terikat dengan fikih ataupun dikatakan pemikiran hukum semata-mata, tetapi memperluaskannya kepada bidang-bidang dan cabaran baru. Industri dan security makanan, digital dan juga AI. Kerana yang ditekankan seperti yang disebut oleh Gubernur tadi, mendasari semua pertimbangan ini adalah soal nilai. Dan nilai itu membedakan sistem ekonomi yang menunjukkan keprihatinan tentang kemanusiaan, prinsip keadilan dan kesejahteraan. So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, one which no longer exceeds to archaic economic orthodoxies, which prioritize growth and material pursuits over quality of life, while glorifying profit maximization and treating labor as a commodity rather than with compassion or rahmah. One of the most focal contributions of Islamic economics is the consideration of overall human well-being as the end goal, al-adl wa ihsan, where justice forms a pivotal component and the humane approach offers an alternative to the imperfections of unbridled capitalism, perpetuating inequality in wealth and living standards. As we navigate the complexities and uncertainties of these post-normal times, the principles of Islamic economics and finance remain even more relevant to resolve the core conundrums which the world is facing. These include lifting abject poverty, ensuring food security, enabling equal opportunity to comprehensive quality education. This is precisely why we have to embark the holistic Islah, a reform agenda for positive change and a force for good in the global economy. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, The Islamic finance ecosystem needs to evolve progressively, placing greater emphasis on value-based finance, transcending the profit-driven motives, or to embrace higher purpose where wealth is not just accumulated among the few but circulated to uplift communities, and investment carries a balanced promise of prosperity. In the light of this, it is imperative that we work together to address common challenges and create opportunities for economic participation and upward mobility. By promoting micro, small and medium business development, as well as access to finance for underserved and unserved populations, we can reduce disparities and foster shared prosperity. I alluded to earlier in my introductory remarks in Malay that it's time for us to graduate from the conventional view of what is halal industry or what is riba-free or Sharia-compliant banking and financial instruments, to transcend it to become more in line with the ultimate higher objectives of the Sharia, which would involve the principles of justice, of equity, helping to resolve the problem of abject poverty, inequities, and require greater participation from the masses. Now, through global integration and effective use of Islamic social finance instruments, we can bridge the gap between the haves and have-nots and promote shared societal cohesion. This must be an effective alternative. It's not just introducing instruments introduced under a flawed, unbridled capitalist system, where progress is achieved, development is seen, but inequality persists and worsened. Half the world's 75 most vulnerable countries are becoming poorer compared to the wealthiest economies. This stark finding must compel the international community, especially the international Islamic organizations and development partners, to act swiftly and collectively. We must work together to enhance international cooperation with concerted, holistic, and harmonized economic growth strategies, including removing structural barriers, improving infrastructure, enhancing trade practices, and fostering good governance in reducing economic disparities. Here in Malaysia, in the Madani Economic Framework, we attempt to focus on the civilizational development and beginning with the issue of governance. One of the flaws I observe is poor governance in our societies, tolerance to corruption and abuse of power, enriching those elites in power and depriving the masses from what is their rightful place in society. So we have taken measures under the Madani Economic Framework. And I must thank all the players. Bank Negara is, of course, pivotal in this, Securities Commission, and our GLICs, which must take the lead in promoting this new economic framework based on justice and equity. For example, ITECAD, championed by Bank Negara, is a partnership of Islamic financial institutions with micro-entrepreneurs, empowering them through blended finance programs, combining seed capital, training grants, and loans funded. Last year, I approved an allocation of additional 10 million ringgit to further scale up ITECAD. Today, I wish to reiterate the Malaysian government's commitment towards this innovation through partnership and announce a commitment of 100 million ringgit to seed much more innovations. I'm glad to announce two new blended finance innovations. First, a pilot program on greening halal businesses in collaboration with the Islamic Development Bank, Ministry of Finance, Bank Negara Malaysia, and the World Bank. This aims to assist halal businesses in Malaysia to transition to greener and sustainable practices by providing technical capacity building, tools to measure and report greenhouse gas emissions, and transition financing, including certifications. Now, before I move to the second, I must stress this point. This is a departure from conventional Islamic Economic and Finance Conference. We are dealing with the challenges and the spirit, the zeitgeist of our times. Energy transition, digital transformation, food security. This must be relevant in the discourse of Islamic economics and finance. Now, on the second proposal, we call it Project Hassan, a collaboration between Lembaga Zakat Negeri Kedah, MIFC Leadership Council, Association of Islamic Banking and Financial Institutions Malaysia, IBIM, and in SAFE University to upscale zakat initiatives to elevate the socio-economic conditions of the Asnaf in Kedah. Through this collaboration, 10 million ringgit is targeted not only to strengthen the Asnaf community, but also improve the direct benefits of harvest for the paddy farmers. Now, initially, for those of you who are not familiar to the Malaysian scene, paddy farmers happen to be one of the most, or the poorest in our society. So there must be additional effort to uplift the living standards of the paddy farmers, other than our recent efforts of spending additional 5 billion ringgit to uplift the infrastructure for paddy farmers in Kedah, Perlis, and parts of Penang and North Perak. Beyond this, we must also innovate and leverage on the concept of wakaf. Towards this, firstly, in March 2024, the government approved a 100 million ringgit grant towards the establishment of a Mara Wakaf Endowment Fund, focusing on crowding in private contributions towards furthering education and entrepreneurship. Second, the government has extended tax incentives to cover stock-based Wakaf initiatives, building on the model already implemented under Wakaf Amanah Saham Nasional Berhad. Thirdly, for our 2024 budget, the government set aside 500 million ringgit of loan financing for the development of property development on Wakaf land. And fourthly, the Securities Commission will introduce fundraising for Wakaf developments through P2P financing and equity crowdfunding platforms, with the government providing matching funding through MyCIF at 0% financing rate. I welcome more initiatives in this space which will broaden the economic horizon and create diverse opportunities for small and medium businesses as well as underprivileged individuals. Consider what is happening around the world today. The rise of fascism, Europe, in the States, and many parts of the world. The impact of climate change, the revival of great power politics and threat of world war. Transformation, therefore, is not only about addressing gaps, it is also about embracing and adapting the future. We are in the midst of generational evolution in core technology of the financial services sector. Much in the same way, the generative artificial intelligence has fundamentally transformed how vast amounts of data are being used. Now, I'm reminded of my conversations with NVIDIA and recently Microsoft. My standard question would be, what about values? Is it true that AI is value-free? Now, The answer is no. So we have to build this capacity, and it's relevant in the discourse on Islamic economics that we build an upskilling of our professionals, our young experts, to be able to ensure that digitalization and AI is not to impose values determined by the West, but to be decided by our own community and our own society. And this is, of course, a challenge that we'll have to deal with, and the upskilling program must be not only enhanced, but must be accelerated. Now, achieving Sharia compliance in arena of digital assets and smart contracts without more is not enough. We must ensure that these technologies are developed and implemented in such a way as to empower our people, create greater unity and cohesiveness among our countries, and give us greater freedom to rebuild and sustainable and resilient societies. The collaboration between MBSB, a Malaysian Islamic bank, and Facet, a Dubai fintech company, announced at the recent Kuala Lumpur KL20 conference is yet another instance positively indicating that our local institutions are ready to embrace global technology companies with a transformational vision for Malaysia and the world. Risk is a fundamental tenet of the maqasid of this industry. Risk sharing should be a principle that defines not only the products offered to consumers, but also by way in which we direct our creative efforts. In these turbulent times, risk-taking is necessary in order that we can surpass the achievements of the past and truly harness the potential ahead of us. I encourage our institutions to invest, innovate, and integrate, and think big to bring solutions that conventional finance has not yet even seen. We must go where others fear to tread and work across the global technology forum. As saying goes, fortes fortuna adiuvat, fortune favors the strong. In particular, innovation in the halal sector should be a prime focus to enhance the efficiency and transparency across the end-to-end supply chain. As part of the continued and intensified efforts to enhance the investment ecosystem within Malaysia. First, the Retirement Fund, or KWAP, will invest through Dana Pemacu up to 3 billion ringgit in Sharia-compliant investments into supporting high-growth domestic Malaysian companies and also catalyze the venture investment ecosystem. Second, the Securities Commission will establish Malaysia's first social exchange, a structured approach for participation of private capital in projects with positive social outcome. This will benefit entities such as NGOs, social enterprises, and state Islamic religious councils. Third, I'm also pleased to introduce a new dimension to our sukuk issuance under the Government of Malaysia via the Wakalah Bil Khadamat structure. We plan to finalize this sukuk by 2025, as well as we work to complete all required arrangements and preparation. Fourth, we'll continue innovating on sukuk structures, particularly to best meet the needs of climate and energy transition, together with sustainability, building on past innovations such as SRI, Sukuk Ihsan, structures, and linkages to Waqaf. Fifth, Labuan International Business and Financial Center, via its Islamic Digital Asset Center initiative, will actively raise and invest funds digitally based on blockchain technology by initiating Islamic asset-backed tokens and also an Islamic digital finance sandbox. And lastly, I wish to commend the Islamic banking industry for their collective pledge of 2.67 billion ringgit in secured financing facilities through the Halal Development Corporation's Halal Integrated Platform to support the development of the halal industry in Malaysia. Thank you.